Money. Make it make money. How do you take your idea and turn it into income? What's up, everybody? My name is Grant Wise, and this is the very first time I am doing a piece of content that's literally just dedicated for YouTube. And I'm excited to dive into one of my favorite topics, which is making money. My background is performance-based marketing, advertising, sales, and my specialty is direct response marketing. And so over a decade of doing that, I've been able to generate, many millions online, and wanted to come on here and just talk about the methodology, the simple framework I've used to take multiple businesses to seven figures, not just for myself, but also how I've helped to do that in a number of spaces. I've helped sell billions of dollars of real estate all over the world. I've done a lot of really cool things, helped launch AI companies and these companies and those companies. But all of that comes back to a really simple system. And that's what I wanted to come on here today, first piece of content in a long time, and talk about what's the methodology, because this can be so complex and so abstract. And then what's the number one thing that if you get it, it makes getting sales feel effortless. I've seen this. I've watched this play out over and over and over and over again. And it's something that it's just like, man, if people would get this, if people would like really clue in here to what it is that you need to do to make money, it would just click. It would be so easy. And I want to unpack that here today. I've got a little bit of time. And so I just wanted to talk about, what do you do? How do you get your ideas? How do you turn your ideas into income? And then how do you scale them? So there's really, I think I've kind of made it a little bit of notes here for myself. There's like 6 parts to this, and it's not complex. Okay. They're actually very, very, very simple parts. But if you take this, what I'm going to teach you today, it should make making money a lot easier. And that's my hope for you. So the first part of this whole make it make money method is, what do you sell? Really simple, easy, straightforward question to answer. At least that's what I thought. As I've consulted a ton of companies, I've learned that whole explaining what it is that you sell part, it really, really, really can be very complicated for people, because you're taking this really complex idea in your head and you're trying to learn how to communicate it. So there's this phrase that I came up with. I didn't come up with it, but I learned, and I think they call it a power phrase. And it's I help blank do blank so they can blank. That's it. Really simple, really easy to understand. I help blank do blank so that they can blank. I help person, the type of people that you help, do blank, the type of result that you get them, so they can blank, the type of benefit they get out of working with you. And then if you want, you can add a tag to that, which is without blank, which would be without pain. I help blank do blank so they can blank without blank. If you can answer that question about your business, it gets really easy to market whatever it is that you've got to market, because you can explain it in a way that's easy to understand. If you can't do that, it makes it very, very, very difficult. Okay. I help blank do blank so that they can blank. What do you sell? If you can say it in that sentence, you've crushed it. If you can't say it in that sentence, take some time, just write it down until you can clearly articulate, I help blank do blank so that they can blank. Without blank, if you want to add some pain points, which I highly recommend, because people make decisions with emotion and they validate those decisions with logic. Point number 2. First, what do you sell? Second, who do you sell it to? You could go buy 1,000 marketing books all over the world, and most of them are going to teach you this one thing. Figure out who you sell to. Who are you trying to market your products and service to? I was saying the person that works with everyone works with no one. I talk to so many people that are like, well, I help everybody. No, you don't. You do not help everybody. We live in a world that is this or that. And people always say, like, well, if you want to make everybody happy, go sell ice cream. And I always say, like, well, some people are lactose intolerant. Like, not everybody likes everything. And so it's kind of a foolish idea to think that you're going to be able to go sell a product to everybody, that you're going to help everybody. You're not. In order to get your marketing right and dialed, your advertising campaigns right and dialed, your sales campaigns right and dialed. You have to know who you're talking to. And so the mistake that I've seen so many companies make is they don't take this part seriously. And when they do, all of the stuff just starts clicking and they're like, oh, okay, this feels so easy now. Who do you sell to? And there's a couple of points here that I'm going to go a little bit deeper on. We as human beings are moving from pain to pleasure. That's like it's nonstop moving away from pain towards pleasure. And so when you're doing this research about who it is that you actually work with, you want to go off the deep end, man, and understand how are the people that you are currently trying to market to hurting? Not externally, but internally. What external things are going on in their life that are creating internal emotions? And then how are they what is it that they want to feel? What is the pleasure that they're working towards? Whether it's a trip they want to take or a thing they want to achieve or a car, big G-Wagon fan, a car that they want to get. Like, what is it? We're always moving away from pain towards pleasure. So if you looked at your business, how does your business helping people do that? How does your product or service help people do that? And if you can clearly answer that question, you are in such a great position. There's this thing you should look up. It's called the emotional ladder. And you can see all of the negative emotions that are associated to pain, and you can see all of the positive emotions that are associated to pleasure. If you can look at here's how I'm hurting and here's how I want to feel, and you can position your product so it moves people away from pain towards pleasure, you will crush. You will absolutely crush because your marketing is effectively getting people in the emotional state that they need to be in to make a decision. People make decisions with emotion and they validate those with logic. We're in a more logical time period than we've been in a long time because of all of these external factors that are going on. But it does not change the fact that people get into a state to make a decision emotionally, and then they look for logic to help them validate that decision. If your marketing can do that, you will crush. But it's impossible to do that if you're not paying attention to who your client is and the internal the internal pain points and the internal pleasure points. What are they moving away from and what are they working towards? These are really critical things to get. So what do you sell? Who do you sell it to? How do you sell it to them? Simple. How do you sell it to them? Do you run traffic to a website? Do you have a brick and mortar store? Do you need do you sell it to them in an appointment? Do you put them through a webinar? Do you do challenges? Do you sell books? Is your business based on an events model? There's so many different ways to sell a product. How do you sell it to them? Some people don't know. Like you're just starting out and you need to know, okay, what's an appointment? What's I'm going to get on the phone and sell it, or I'm going to do a webinar. There's a lot of different ways to sell products and services. How do you sell your product or service? And if you don't know, it's fine. Just like box, boom, I don't know. The number one problem every business I've ever met in my entire life, every business owner I've ever met in my entire life has, is that they don't know how to get customers. And then when they figure out how to get customers, they don't know how to operationalize the way that they get customers. So it's not shocking to me when I get to step 3 in this process. What do you sell? Who do you sell it to? How do you sell it to them? Where most people, they just don't know the answer to that question. It's fine. But you've got to figure that out. How do I sell my product or service? And then you go to the fourth thing, which is what do you need to sell your product or service? Do you need clicks to your website? Do you need leads? Do you need appointments? What is it that you need? It's going to be one of those few things, clicks, leads, or appointments. Unless you need foot traffic or you need to sell tickets to an event or whatever, what do you need to sell the product or service that you have to offer? What do you sell? Who do you sell it to? Understanding the pain and pleasure emotions of the person that you're trying to market to. How do you sell it to them? What's your sales funnel or what's your sales process? And then what do you need to sell it to them? It's going to be clicks, it's going to be leads, it's going to be appointments. It's going to be one of those 3 things unless you have an offline offering. Like you need to get traffic to your store, like I just said, or whatever. You've got to understand what it is that your business needs in order to fill the funnel with traffic. All of us need attention. And then we take that attention and we convert it to clicks, leads, appointments. And this is, I said at the beginning, like there's one thing that people need in order to grow a very successful company and to make it feel like it's almost effortless. And that number one thing that they need is an audience. People are either in two positions. They either have an audience of people, they have a lot of followers, they've got a lot of influence, and they've got nobody they don't have a product to sell those people, or they have a product to sell, a service to offer, and they've got nobody to buy it. I don't always find people are in a position where they've got an audience and they've got a business. It's the best position in the world to be in. And everything that you roll out crushes. Why? Because you can just ask the people that are following you what they want, and then you can sell them those products or services. It's the easiest business model that there is, but it takes time to build an audience. It takes attention, it takes energy, it takes investment. It takes a lot. But if you have an audience, you are in a better position than anybody else that has a business and does not have an audience, even if you have no product to sell, because you can figure the product part out. It's not hard. It's very easy, actually. You just ask people what they want to buy. So what do you need? What do you sell? Who do you sell it to? How do you sell it to them? What do you need to sell it to them? And then what are your numbers? And there's two different types of numbers that you want to pay attention to. The first type is your price. How is your product or service priced? This tells you so much about your business. Are you the cheapest person in town and you try to sell to the most people, or are you the most expensive person in town and you try to sell to the least amount of people? Both of these things really matter, because if you're going to go advertise your business, you've got to understand so much about the way that your business functions. You've got to know the economics of the business model, LTV, ARPU, churn. These are all CAC rate. All of these things are critical. And I have worked with business owner after business owner after business owner. They're so kind of lost and consumed in the art that they're not always paying attention to the numbers, price, performance, etc. So there's two types of numbers that you got to obsess over finding. You've got to find the sweet spot in your pricing, and you know that based on how sales funnels perform, appointment funnels perform, etc. And then there's performance, which is LTV, CAC rate, ARPU, churn. These are all critical numbers, because if you're going to go advertise your business, which is typically a requirement for scaling it in some way, you've got to know how the business performs, because the worst position you want to be in, especially in 2025, which is when I'm recording this, going into 2026, you will get crushed in the advertising space if you don't know how the business performs. If you don't know how much you can afford to pay per click, per lead, per appointment, your business will suffer. You will suffer, because you either grow the business organically, you're paying with your time to get customers, or you're growing the business through paid means, advertising, co-marketing, affiliates, etc. And if you don't understand how to do that profitably because you don't know your numbers, you're just going to get crushed. You're going to wreck your profitability. You have to be able to scale the business and scale it profitably, which goes to the last portion of this make it make money method, the system that I've used for a long time, which is scale. How do you scale what you do? Goes back to, most people struggle to figure out how to get customers. Then they struggle to operationalize the way that they get customers. Not a lot of people struggle to operate, to do the thing that they like to do, to sell houses, to sell products, to perform services, to do blank, whatever that might be for you. You're actually probably very good at that. And you could do more of that. You could scale more of that. You could build a team. Those are tangibles. Sometimes growing a business through marketing, advertising, sales strategies, they're intangibles. They're really difficult, because they're not always things that you can see. They're not always things that you can feel. They're not always things. If you can obsess over these things, what you sell, who you sell it to, how you sell it to them, what you need to sell it to them, the numbers, both price and performance, that sets you up to scale the business very, very, very simplistically. My obsession for years has been building sales systems that you can automate to grow and scale the sales in your business, to grow your revenues. That's been my obsession. And so that's what I have focused on with a lot of different companies. That's why I've been able to build numerous businesses that have done seven figures. I've been able to consult companies that go off to do multi millions. It's this system right here. And it's not overly complex. The complicated parts that most people have trouble with is the getting customers part. How do we get customers to fuel the growth of my business? And that, again, has been my focus and my specialty. And so I wanted to come in here today. Like I said, this is my first YouTube live. I'm pretty excited to be on this platform. I've been creating content for well over a decade on other platforms that have never really prioritized YouTube. So I'm excited to just be here, start creating some content, start adding some value around how to make money through business, how to make money online, how to make money from an audience, how to make money, all of the different ways that you can make it make money. I want to help you understand how to take your ideas, turn them into income, and scale them. And I'm excited for whatever comes from this. I'm committed to it for the long haul. So that's all I got for you guys today. The Make It Make Money method. It's a 6-part, super simple framework. You can take it. What do I sell? Who do I sell it to? How do I sell it to them? What do I need to sell it to them? What are my numbers? And how do I scale this? If you can answer those 6 questions, you can grow an unbelievably profitable business in pretty much any niche in the world. And you can do it in a way that doesn't feel like you're out there just absolutely dying. I find that most people struggle to get customers. That's what is the complicated part of their business, because the operations of it is typically their art. And so I spend a lot of my time talking about how do we get customers. And that's what I am excited to break down over and over and over again. All of the different businesses that I have and all of the different businesses that I get to consult, I'm going to share that here and hopefully help you guys grow your own business, and girls too. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Yeah, we'll talk soon.